Hey everyone, how's it going? Happy Friday. I hope everyone has had a good week. Myself, I'm not gonna lie, this week has been beyond stressful and beyond crazy, and I am so happy it is Friday and the week is almost over. I have one more busy day to get through before it's the weekend and I can somewhat relax before another very busy week next week. Just a lot going on with work and kids and family and just a lot of stress right now. So I've just as flawed in dealing with these things as everyone else is. So it's been a rough week for me, but I'm trying to make the most out of it. And this is one of the few things that I really look forward to doing every week on repeat is going and doing these Facebook Lives. So hey Tina, how's it going? Hope you're having a good morning as well. It is sunny here, and I hope it's sunny where you are as well. But with that said, I wanted to talk about a topic that's been on my mind for a few weeks now. After a couple conversations I heard on Facebook, or saw, I should say, on Facebook, and then a podcast I listened to. And I hadn't really heard this come up in a while, but for some reason it recently came up again twice, and I just wanted to address it. And that is that people's kind of dogmatic and untrue view that all carbohydrates turn into sugar in the body and that they need to be avoided. And while that statement is not untrue, right? So just very quickly at the 1,000-foot level, what happens is you consume something that has carbohydrates in it. Maybe it is table sugar, maybe it's a potato, maybe it's honey, maybe it's broccoli, maybe it is a dark chocolate bar or whatever, right? Choose your favorite carbohydrate source. You ingest that, and your body turns all that stuff into glucose in your body. And your body can only have so much glucose flowing around in the bloodstream, and so it does its best to manage that level pretty tightly. And so whether it's too high or too low, it does its best to make sure that things are staying in the right range. And so it will, typically the problem today is that people have too much glucose in the bloodstream, and so they takes that glucose out of the bloodstream and tries to store it away for future use. And so whether that is a bunch of sugar from ice cream, or whether it is a potato, or whether it is broccoli, the body breaks this all down the same and turns it into this glucose and stores it away or uses it. Preferably we want to be used right away. Some of it gets stored in muscle, some of it gets stored in your liver, some of it gets stored and transformed into body fat. And that's just how the body works. So people will oftentimes say that, so it doesn't matter what you eat, whether you're eating ice cream or you're eating honey or you're eating broccoli or you're eating potato, it all gets turned into sugar and it all is bad for your body. And you should avoid all this stuff. Don't eat carrots, don't eat strawberries, don't eat a banana, don't eat potatoes, don't eat honey, and God forbid, stay away from table sugar. And while I agree that certain carbohydrate-containing foods should pretty much be avoided at all costs for the most part, right? Things like highly processed foods, like don't go out and start slamming Twinkies because someone told you that, hey, if I'm going to eat carbohydrates, I might as well eat a potato. I could eat a potato or I could eat some Twinkies, and I really want to eat the Twinkies. It's all the same, so go ahead and eat the Twinkies. That's not true, right? There are foods that should be avoided, right? These highly processed foods that are full of sugars and refined foods and stuff like that. But to fearmonger and say that you should never eat a potato or a strawberry or a banana or a carrot again because it contains carbohydrates as well and gets turned into glucose is completely wrong and short-sighted, because you're missing out on the complete picture, right? What else do these foods provide? If you look at a Twinkie and you look at potato, for example, the value of the potato far outweighs the value of the Twinkie, even though, let's just say they have the same carbohydrate content, right? You're going to get a bunch of beneficial stuff from potato, right? There's a whole bunch of vitamins and minerals and fiber and all this other stuff that comes along with it. Not to mention that if the potato is cooked and cooled, for example, it could have prebiotics in it to help your gut bacteria and be beneficial in your gut. And so there's a whole bunch of other stuff that comes along with this potato that a Twinkie just doesn't provide, right? So yeah, you end up with the same, maybe technically the same amount of glucose in your body from the potato and the Twinkie, but the potato gives you a whole bunch of other stuff that the Twinkie does not give you. In addition, because of the way the Twinkie is refined, the impact that has on, for example, how fast that glucose gets released into your blood is quite different than a potato, right? So, and this is not going to be true for every person. There's plenty of studies out there that show, people having different reactions to the same foods. So we can't make a blanket statement that what I'm about to say is going to be true for everyone. But in general, if you were to eat a Twinkie and then eat a potato, if you looked at your blood sugar response to the Twinkie, it's going to look pretty bad and probably much worse than it would be a potato. Why? Because the Twinkie is highly processed. The release of that glucose, that sugar in the Twinkie, is going to happen extremely fast, and your body's going to get a big whack of sugar all at once, right? This huge spike in your blood sugar, and your body has to react right away because it can't go too high, right? It may go, say you were sitting at like 89, 90, your blood sugar before you eat the Twinkie, and within a few minutes it's up to 180, right? 190, 200, some people, right? If you're diabetic, it's probably going to be even higher than that, right? Or pre-diabetes, you'll probably be even higher than that, right? And it might stay there for a long time. Whereas if you eat the potato and it may have the same carbohydrate content, the body has to break that down. It's not refined, it's not processed, so it has to break that down. It happens slowly. There's a lot more fiber. The digestion process happens a lot longer, and the sugar and the glucose from the potato gets released into your body a lot slower. And the glucose curve, the blood sugar curve, looks a lot better, right? It might get extended out for a little time, but maybe it goes up to 115 and kind of sits there for a little bit and drifts around at 115 and then starts to go back down after an hour, 2 hours, or whatever, right? So you don't have this huge spike up to 180, and that's when your blood sugar goes up above 140 for the most part. Research shows that you're starting to actually do damage to your body at that point, right? It doesn't matter how long it's there, how long that spike lasts for, or it could be 5 minutes or whatever, but once it gets up that high, you're actually starting to do potentially unrepairable damage to your body that is going to be harmful to you. So you can't just say that because a natural food like a potato and a processed food like a Twinkie gets turned into the same thing in the body, that they're equivalent, and they're not. They're just not the same. It's completely different situations. You're just looking at it from one perspective, and one microscopic piece of the puzzle, when there's a lot more going on than what meets the eye. Another good example I just want to throw out there real quick is honey, right? People are like, oh, honey's just pure, it's like nature's sugar, it's you gotta avoid it and blah blah blah, right? And honey is just not just nature's sugar. Yeah, it's a great natural sweetener, and it tastes deliciously sweet, and it's pretty high in carbohydrates, etc. But I just read a study the other day that a group of researchers did a study on honey and comparing it to medications for, I think they were comparing it for coughs and dry throats and those things that you might have with your throat, issues you might have with your throat, with those type of colds. That the honey outperformed the medications and beat them every time, right? So there's clearly a lot more going on there than just the sugar in the honey, right? There's more benefits to honey than just the sugar that's in it. Yeah, it's great as a natural sweetener, but it comes with other stuff. When you find things in nature they have other benefits. Whole natural foods have other benefits than just energy and calories and carbs and proteins and fats. There's more stuff in there, and that's why we encourage the use of whole natural foods, and I encourage the consumption of whole natural foods over any kind of processed food, whether that's a whey protein shake that's just pure whey protein versus a piece of steak. Eat the steak, hands down, every time. You're going to get so many more vitamins and nutrients and minerals from the steak than you are from a whey protein, right? I'm not saying you should never have whey protein or never have a piece of, never have ice cream, never have a piece of cake to celebrate birthday, but to compare and say that these things are the same is just completely short-sighted. So that's my rant for today. And I just wanted to share that with you, and I hope you found it useful. So if you hear people saying don't eat honey, don't eat a carrot, don't eat a potato because it all just turns into sugar, just realize there's a lot more to that picture than just the sugar content, the carbohydrate content. With that said, I hope everyone has a great weekend and a good next week, and I hope you do something fun and exciting this weekend with your family and friends. Get out there and make some social connection and stuff like that, because we all need that right now. And I'll encourage you to all head over to my website, rjbhealth.coach. Sign up for my newsletter where I send out lots of great free content, actionable content for you every week to consume. It's just all, not promotions, nothing like that, just all great free stuff. I hope you find useful. You can go to rjbhealth.coach, and right at the top there's a newsletter link to sign up for the newsletter. If you're interested in health coaching and need help with whatever, training, sleep, movement, exercise, all that fun stuff, please reach out, shoot me a message, go to my website, set up a free discovery call. We can work together and talk about how we can best help each other. With that, I will sign off, and I'll talk to you all next week. Have a good week.